Hi, this is Cedar Lee. I'm going to show you a time-lapse video of me making one of my beautiful paintings, and while you're watching that, I'm going to talk to you about some of my best tips for artists on doing commissioned work. So to set yourself up for success when you start to do commissioned artwork, you need to have a crystal clear policy in writing, and you need to have good communication. So as an example, you can see my commission policy, which is at artbycedar.com/commission. And what you want to do is make it easy for them. As time goes on and you get more and more work under your belt, you'll be able to add testimonials and examples of your past work. But to start with, it can be pretty bare bones. You're going to want your commission policy to just be very simple and easy to read and clear to make things easy for the client. So here are some things that you want to include so that you answer people's questions before they have to ask them. You want to get your clients excited about your work. You want to talk about your process and show examples of how you do your work and make them want it. So a good commission policy states that you will agree on the terms of the agreement. So you're first going to agree on the size of the artwork, the theme of the artwork, what colors you're going to use, what materials you'll use, whether you are going to show them the work in progress. I personally do not show my clients the work in progress while I'm making it. I just send them a picture of it when it's done for their approval. And whether you will make any changes to the artwork when it's done, and whether or not you'll charge to make any changes. I personally don't make changes to the finished artwork except for small changes, which are free of charge. And then if they want big changes, I would charge them extra for it. However, this has never happened because we are very careful to get clear on what the person wants before I start working. It is okay to price your commissioned work higher than for your regular work if it's more work for you to do things custom. One thing that artists have a big problem with is undervaluing their work. So don't undervalue your work. Ask a fair price that you feel good about. Keep in mind that when you do a commissioned work, it has to be win-win. It has to feel good for both you and the client. If you do happen to agree to do a piece of artwork that you know that you're not being compensated enough for your time, that's okay to do that sometimes. But the only reason that you should accept that job is if you want to do it very badly for the experience, or if it's something you really want to do, or if you're making an exception for family and you're doing a special favor and you know that you feel good about it, right? So check in with yourself. Make sure you feel good about it. Make sure you're getting paid what you're worth. Okay, this is the most important thing to state in your policy. Always, always, always collect a deposit before you begin work. I collect 50% of the total amount before I begin creating the work. And then the rest of the balance is due upon completion of the work. And of course, always wait for payment to clear before sending them the finished art. I've never had a check bounce or anything like that, but you never know, and you want to just protect yourself and make sure that you have this written in your policy. So here's a note about working from photos. Don't violate copyright. If you're working from a photo, say you're doing a portrait or something, or a car or a house or something, this photo that you're working with has to either be taken by you or by your client. They have to have ownership of it, or you have to have ownership of it. Otherwise, you need to have permission to use it from the owner of the image. This should be non-negotiable. So when you get some experience doing commissioned work, you will start to see patterns. You'll realize that some clients don't really know what they want, and some clients have a very overly specific idea of what they want. And both of these situations will set you up for failure. So ideally, what you want in a client is you want somebody who has a good idea of what they want to a certain point, but then they also have an open mind about how it plays out. So when you're talking about the possibility of a commissioned work, tell the client to keep an open mind and remind them that if they like your overall style of work, then they're probably going to end up loving whatever you make. When you're discussing a project, remember that it's a collaboration. You're going to do your best work when you listen to what your client wants, but also when you have confidence in your work and you make a good case for your ideas. They picked you for the job because you're an expert, so don't be afraid to own that role. Part of the nature of art is that it always takes on a life of its own while it's being created. So whatever you have in your mind's eye, your vision of the thing you want to make, the actual execution is going to end up being different, even if you end up close to what was in your mind. And what happens when somebody really loves your work, they're usually going to say that whatever you did is better than what they had in their mind. And when it comes down to it, that's why they're commissioning a piece of work from an artist, because they're paying you for your vision and your skill in creating something that they know they're going to love. Okay, my next tip is don't be afraid to say no. You are not the right person for every job, and you shouldn't agree to do a job that you don't feel equipped to do, or that you wouldn't enjoy doing, or that you know that you can't deliver. Most artists are really specialized in what they do, and people may or may not understand this. So let's say you're open to doing something that you don't normally do. That's great. You may or may not be. So listen to the person's request, and it's perfectly fine to say, oh, that's not really the kind of work that I do, but let me refer you to this other artist who might be able to help you. And if it is something that you're interested and open to doing, even if it's not what you normally do, that's also great. The idea is to listen to your gut and ask yourself, is this in alignment with what I want to do? Is this in alignment with my work? Do I have the ability to do this? Am I excited about it? Do I feel good about it? Listen to that little voice. People will ask you to do all kinds of strange things, or they'll ask you to do absurd amounts of work for almost no money, and just know that it is okay to say no. So artists know, and artists will tell you, that some clients are much more difficult to work with than others. I would say this applies to all business dealings. Trust your gut about other people. If they seem professional and easy to work with, then it's a good sign. Some examples of red flags that you might see: if they seem flaky or rude or disrespectful in any way, if they seem unaccommodating or have a big ego, or if something just feels weird or off about it and you can't put your finger on what it is. Listen to those instincts, because whatever it is about that other person not meshing well with you, your brain is telling you that message for a reason. Okay, the last thing I will leave you with is, you've probably heard this word of advice and it's a good one, is to always underpromise and overdeliver. So for example, if you think that this project will take you a week to complete, realistically, it will probably take you 2 weeks. So what you do is you tell the client it'll take 3 weeks. Then when you finish it in 2 weeks, they're going to be surprised and delighted. This person found you and they asked you to do this thing for them, and you're really good at what you do, and you want to be proud of your work. So do your best work, aim to please, aim high, and you'll never go wrong. If you're interested in learning more about commissioning artwork from an artist, check out my video that I made for art lovers looking to commission a piece of art, which covers all of the things to consider from that end.